Hoyt target bow number 2, Concept X40. That is a bitchin' looking color. Let's check it out. Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. MFJJ here at podiumarcher.com, looking at the Hoyt Concept X40. About 2 days later than it needs to be, but here we are. We're going to try to cram this out as quick as you can. Differences between the 37 and the 40 obviously is the longest riser Hoyt has ever produced. Look at how long that is. It's huge, right? Massive chunk of metal right there. Every other feature is basically the same. The brace height's a 1/4 inch higher. Axle to axle is 40, weight's 4.9 instead of 4.75. Draw length spectrum changes a little bit, goes an inch longer, so 26 to 32. The main module that comes with the bow originally is a 27 to 30, so fortunately we can test this at 30 inches. You still get your 2.5% let-off options, still lower stabilizer position with threaded pieces in it for their own specific features. Hard and soft settings, which I didn't cover on the last one. Gives you a little softer feel, harder feel in the back. This bow is physically harder to torque because it is wider limb set. Thank you for that. And the wider you make that, typically the harder it is to torque. Lower vibration, quieter, all those things, same as before. 1/4 inch axles with screws. Your individual modules will give you 1/4 inch increments, but it'll come with a 27 to 30, and then you buy the specific module you want after you mess with that one to figure out what your length is. It's a neat concept. I know people are going to gripe and complain of, why don't I have a pivoting module that covers every size before I do that or whatnot? But hey, they're working their way there, and the cost of actually making each individual module is a lot to be able to give you that extra feature and that extra speed boost. And we got really good speed out of the other one based off of what they were advertising it at. So speaking of that, let's measure some of these things and see how their advertising stacks up. So just visually looking, right, this is a Stratos 40 and this is the Concept 40. And if you look at these, there's a drastic transition of change. A lot of different riser length there. That limb angle's a ton different. Way more machine work in that riser. I mean, this is a giant transition. This is everything different, not just part of it different. So good on you for doing that. Yeah, 32.5 versus 30.5. So that's a 2-inch longer riser platform than what they made previous on the same axle to axle bow. That's a drastic difference. And yet it comes out lighter, they say. So let's check that physical weight and see what they come out with. Now, granted, this does have an arrow rest on it and the other one does not. 5051, 5051, and it says 49. So that's spot on because that arrow rest weighs something. So we're good on the weight there. And then let's see what this old Stratos weighed in comparison. 5.2, 5.3, 5.2. So there's a 1/4 pound difference there. That's kind of what they were saying. So that's pretty accurate. That's a big difference. It's kind of funny how you can make a bow 2 inches longer and weigh 0.2 of a pound less. That's pretty amazing. That's all in machine work. And understand, as the consumer, get something through your head. The more they cut out of that riser, the more money it costs to make, because that's more machine time. And at the end of the day, machine time is based off of the minute run time. Okay, so that is a more expensive product to produce than what they made previously. So hats off to you, Hoyt. Good work. So once again, we're pulling about a 1/4 inch long on our draw length. Now on the specific modules, that may be different, and we'll do a little comparison when we get those in of, the difference between the pivoter and the consistent, or the specific, but that is a 1/4 inch long on the draw, and we're going to go for a load off point. Looking like a 40-inch load-off point. This bow's going to feel like it's 10 miles long. That is a impressively long load-off point. Okay, just need to measure our riser length and our reflex, and then we can shoot this thing. Overall riser length on this 40-inch axle-to-axle bow is 32.5. That's a girthy riser. Get this up here. What's up? So load out point. Come this way with it a little bit. So it's about 7/8 of an inch. 7/8 reflex. Once again, should be a shooter. All right. This is a 60-pound bow, so once again, we're going to shoot 300 grain arrow to get a speed on it, and then a 450 and a 650, and we'll figure it out. Okay, we have a 300 grain arrow and a 60-pound bow at 30 inches with the pivoting module, the rotating module. Let's see what she gets. It stacks a little more than the other one. Oop. .315, .318, 17 average. .318, .320, so that's 19, 17, so we're back to .318 average, and one more. So .318 right now. One more go here. Got our average. .318. So that's .318 on the 300. So now we'll shoot some 450s and some 650s. Happy?
He's happy.
All right, 450. 60 pounds, 30 inches, pivoting mod. .260 and a .266. I swear that Garmin needs to warm up when you shoot through it. A different arrow. It's like the first one is always a little weird. .260 and a .266. That's a .263 average of the two shots. .265, .267, so that's .266 and .263 is .265, we'll give it. It's between .264 and .265, so we'll give it .265. .265, .267. So .265 for 450s. Write that down and pull those. All right, now we're ready to shoot some 650s. And I just want to say again that I really appreciate all the work Hoyt did on this bow. And I'm sure they're going to get some guff on the internet that, oh, it looks like a PSE, or but so many of these bows look alike. I mean, give me a break, guys. Like, you could nitpick so many different features on so many different bows that were from someone else originally, or originated or look like someone else originally. Let's just appreciate the bow for what it was, and I can guarantee you, if there's anything that's patentable and a violation, they ain't making it. So, you know, get off your high horse. Let's just appreciate the work that went into this. .228, .226 for an average of .227. .226, .229. So that's an average of .227 with including the other one. Yeah, this bow is like night and day different from what they made before. It doesn't feel anything like the old one. It's very dead in the hand. It's very clean. It's very quiet, if you like that sort of thing. But there's still some good response going forward. Like, I know what the bow's doing when it goes off. Ooh, .226, .225. So an average of .226. Let's go write that down. Now we need to change this to .28 so we can do some mathing for you. All right, now we're going to shoot 450 grain arrows at 28 inches, so we can do some math and let you know calculated what your bow is going to shoot at your draw length. .247, .251, so that's an average of .249. This color is just cool. Not gonna lie, it's that chameleon-y deal. It always looks neat. So .249 on the first one's average. 242, 251, 249. So that's going to make it down to like 247. I got to grab one more. Hang on. 247. 251, 241. All right, let's stick with 247 on that one. Starting to get a big deviation in the top one and the bottom one, but we'll roll with that. So let's write that down and we'll give this thing a score. All right, here we are. The math difference from a 30 to a 28 on the 450s was a 265 to a 247. It's a 9-foot-a-second speed difference. So if you do that calculation, you figure every inch shorter is probably roughly 9 feet slower. Now, if you're shooting a lighter weight, it's going to be a bigger number. And if you're shooting a heavier weight, that's going to be a smaller number. So this is probably more like 11, and this is probably more like 7. Okay? So if you're shooting 650s, it's probably only like 7-foot difference per inch. If you're up at like the lightweight arrows, the 300 and the 350, you're probably more like 11, something like that. So, but your average of 9 to calculate it out. So in other words, if you're going to shoot this bow at 26, the odds, or 27, the odds are really good. It's going to shoot 230, why am I drawing a blank? 238, right? If you can follow that out, you can break it down to whatever you want to look at and compare it to. Okay, speed. We shot 318 foot a second. That puts you at an 8 for speed. Features. Okay. So features, there is multiple different places, because mind you, we're looking at a target bow here, right? So what is relevant to a target shooter? There is upper and lower stabilizer positions with integration bolt-ins for V-bars that are specific to these bows, and multiples in the rear. I mean, what you ask a target guy for, that's the majority of it. Outside of that, I mean, it's got a rear mount, but that's integration. So I would say features is probably a 4. Because those are all specific just to Hoyt. Tunability, oh, hang on a second. Obviously cut this out, Lena.
Yep.
Actually, I'm doing it, so I'm okay. Because she had to leave. Okay. All right. Tunability is not good. Like, there's just not a lot you can do with this. There's a couple of shims that's going to move the cam a lot, and you're going to be forced to mess with a lot of left and rights, which personally I think is wrong. I'd like to see that be a bigger change going forward with that company. It seems like almost every company is paying attention to that reality, as should you. Please pay attention to that. Offer something better. So I'm giving you a 3 on that, because it does tune a bit. It's not like you can't move the cam at all, but it's not great. Integration. Rear mount integration here, the specific V-bar bracket option that they make for that, but there's not like stabilizer integration with your own custom stabilizers. Nobody really uses a front, so integration, I'm going to be a 5. Honesty, okay, so you're off by a 1/4 inch on your axle to axle. You are off on, we didn't check brace height, hang on. Brace height 7 1/4, so that's good. Your weight, you're on. Your draw length's a 1/4 inch long. Great reflex number, but you don't measure that as a functional thing. But your speed is, what was the speed?
27.
327. So you're 9 feet shy on the speed. So I got to give you like a 7 for honesty. You can do better. It doesn't need to be that far off, especially at the target bow. Like, nobody's really just blindly buying a target bow based off of how fast it is. So that's not really a good way to go. Feel, I give you a great one for this. This bow feels really awesome for a target bow. It's very hard to torque, very hard to pitch in your hand. I'll give you an 8 on that. Design and forgiveness, once again, less than an inch of reflex, excessively long, stable riser. This bow is going to be super forgiving. And once again, wide limb set, super hard to torque, like ridiculously hard to torque, right? So we'll give you a 12 on there, because I got to leave some room for improvement, because there's going to be. Value. These are $2,000 bows. I have a hard time believing bows are worth $2,000. I just do, and I hate to say that because it doesn't sound right. I mean, it's more metal than they've ever had. It's more cuts than they've ever had. I'll give a little better number on value than the other one, because it's the same price for 2-inch, 3-inch more riser, a lot more machine time. So I'll give you a 3 on value, but that price point's just so high, like it's hard to believe. We didn't measure sound, but it did sound relatively quiet. I don't have full specs yet from everybody, so it's hard to get outside of that number. So we're gonna give sound a 3. And appeal and quality, like the finish on these things is incredible. The coating on the black isn't nearly as nice as the coating on the white. It's just really glossy. That chameleon finish, I mean, you're gonna bring a chamois cloth around with you to get it to polish and do nice stuff. So I'm gonna give you a 4 on appeal and quality. So let's see what we get for numbers here. Set that down, don't wanna scratch it. All right, 8 and 4 is 12, 15, 20, 35, 45, 47, 50, 57. 57. Now, like I will say this again, this is out of 100, and I'm not gonna rank anything probably higher than an 80, so it's not intended to be offensive, and you know, value has to matter, and $2,000 is a lot of money for a bow. So what do you think of this? Here you go, everything you need to know. Is this the stupidest thing you've ever seen in your life? Is it great? Is it grand? What do I need to measure that I'm not? What am I not checking that I'm not? Put it all down in the comments down below. Support your local shop, but head on over to podiumarchery.com for all those archery needs. $99 and up is free shipping. Coupon code MFJJ to save a little money. And we do sell these bows online and can ship them to you. So if you want to get one, they're on pre-sale right now, and we actually have about 10 in stock. And one more little thing for you out there. If you're looking for a screaming deal on the older Hoyt bow, we still have some of those floating around, and we're marking them down on the website right now. Drastic reduction. Get them before they're gone. Thanks for watching.